This is Jessica with CutesyCrafts.com. Today I'm going to give you a little tutorial on how to mount your embroidery pieces in these pretty necklaces. There's all different shapes and sizes and colors of metal, but they just look really pretty mounted as a necklace, and you can customize them to be however you want. To mount your embroidery, you'll need your embroidered piece of fabric, and I have several patterns, new patterns on my website for these embroidery necklaces. So here's that. And you will also need a bezel and an insert, a little tag that goes inside. And I'm selling these online in my shop, and I'll talk more about that at the end of the video, but there's also a link in the comments to show you where you can get these. You'll also need some embroidery floss, some scissors, some strong glue. You'll also need a pair of clamps, and I'm just using a couple of wooden clothespins. Start by taking your tag and put it over the top of your design just so that you can see how much fabric you need to cut. And I'm going to cut about a 1/2 inch border around the tag. Once you're done with the initial cutout, go ahead and take your tag and put it behind your embroidery. And then I kind of like to just crease along the edge in about the places where it will naturally fold over. So that should give you a nice little crease around your work. And then I'm going to trim off a little bit more of this because I only want about 1/4 inch extra. You don't want too much because then it's going to be too much fabric in the back, and you also don't want too little because then you're going to ruin your piece and it won't stay on your tag. So just be really careful when you're cutting. All right, so that gives me about 1/4 inch. And then depending on the fabric that I'm using, if it's kind of thin, like most of the time when I'm using linen, I use linen for all of my embroidery most of the time, I will double up on it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out another oval using this original one as my template. And just one more thing I almost forgot to mention, before you put this in the necklace, you might also want to spray it with a fabric protecting spray to help it keep from getting dirty. So now I've got my 2 ovals cut out. I'm going to put one on top of the other. If you want your piece to be really poofy, you can even use a piece of felt, and I would just cut the piece of felt the same size as your tag here. I wouldn't cut it any bigger because then that's going to make it too thick in the back. But you can definitely add a little bit of felt or a little bit of batting. I don't like mine to be that thick, so I just double up on the fabric but skip the felt or the batting. Next, thread your needle with 3 strands of embroidery floss and do not tie a knot in the end. And what we're going to do is stitch a loose running stitch all around the outside of the fabric, and you want to leave about 2 to 3 inches on the end right here. Don't pull that through. Make sure you don't stitch too close to the edge because then the thread's going to rip your fabric out, and don't stitch too close to your design because then it won't be far enough away for it to not show when you put it in your bezel. Once you've got your running stitch all the way around the outside of your fabric, turn it over, and I like to cross my threads like if I was about to tie a knot and just kind of give it a tug. Just like you are cinching up like a drawstring bag or something, and that will start the fabric going around. And then you want to take your tag and place it inside the little bag that you're making. And this might take a little bit of finagling. And then you want to go ahead and tie a knot and pull that nice and tight, and then kind of turn it over Make sure everything is straight. Don't worry if this isn't super tight in the back yet, we'll fix that. And go ahead and tie another knot. Trim off the short end of your thread. And then with your needle still threaded, we're gonna go back and see there's still like stuff sticking out here or bumps on the sides. You can kind of see the little bumps. We're gonna take care of that by going around in the back. We're gonna stitch through anywhere that there's a little bump and then pull down tight. And then I'm gonna take my needle to the other side, stitch through and pull down tight and kind of pull it in the opposite direction. So it's kind of like you're tying shoes or something. You're just kind of cinching everything up. And then pull that tight. Once you're satisfied with how secure everything is, go ahead and find a spot to tie off your thread. And then trim off the end. To put your embroidery in your bezel, you'll need your glue. This is a very strong glue that's great for metal. And you will also need your clamps or clothespins. Take just a small amount of the glue. You don't want too much because then it will start seeping out over the sides. And just smear it around in the bottom of your bezel. Take your embroidery and stick it in your bezel. Make sure it's facing the right way. Give it a nice press down. Make sure there's no glue seeping out of the sides. Make sure that you get the clear, not the white dry, just in case any does happen to seep out. And place your clothespins on either side. And just make sure that it's all in there how you want it. And I would make sure to not put any clamps or clothespins on the more dimensional shapes like your woven wool flowers. You don't want that to get squished. And so just let that set. Read the instructions on your bottle of glue and see how long it takes to dry. I'll probably just leave it to dry overnight. Embroidery necklace kits like this are kind of hard to come by, and I really wanted to find something that was good quality, and I found these and I decided to start selling them. So if you would like to purchase one, there's a link in the comments to my Etsy shop where I'm selling them, and you can buy just the bezel and the tag by themselves. That comes in a kit, or you can, and then you can also add on the pretty chains to buy. And everything is super high quality. It's all real gold and real silver and real copper plated, except for these because that's just going on the inside, but these are still really high quality and they're really cute. These smaller ones have the pretty printed design, the stamped in design on the back. And then these ones that have the ornate design on the back, they're really cool because they can be a brooch or a necklace. So if you see right here, there's a pin in the back. And then you can also, I've attached a jump ring that will hide if you want to wear it as a brooch, or you can string it on a necklace and wear it as a necklace, and it's really a pretty piece that's really versatile. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial to make your own embroidered jewelry. It makes a great gift for Christmas or whatever it is that you have coming up, and I hope that you'll take a look at my shop and see what I've got there. And I'm also going to be selling some of these finished pieces just because I don't need this many of them. So head on over there with the link in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.